Barack Obama and Bill Clinton will be hitting the campaign trail together this week, Wednesday, in Orlando, Florida. It will be the first time the two former rivals will be appearing together at a campaign rally. Mark Walsh is a Democratic strategist. Scott Migli is a Republican strategist. And Mark, first to you, what took so long?
What took so long for Bill Clinton to join the campaign trail? Well, I think there was a lot of positive momentum, so you don't need the big dog, as they used to call him, to come on and make the message clear for everybody, or at least clarify the message. But I do think this is the perfect time. As your station keeps telling us, 9 days left. I think Bill Clinton is going to make a tremendous impact and just add fuel to the fire to the message that Obama's delivered. One last thing, he's so good in key states, and that's where I think Clinton's going to go.
Scott, what sort of problems are Republicans having in Florida?
Well, I think clearly the message over the final days here is clear. It's that Obama's tax policies are simply wrong for Americans. As John McCain has openly said, you know, America was built upon the foundation that we create the opportunities for wealth, not simply spread the wealth around. And I think that in the final days, these undecided voters are starting to come back, which is why you see the polls of likely voters throughout the country closing in numerous states.
Scott, what polls are you talking about?
There are many different polls that you see throughout. You know, if you just look at Real Clear Politics, you know, the averages are starting to come back when you look at likely voters and not simply registered voters that are being polled.
All right. The View co-host Elizabeth Hasselbeck was talking about Sarah Palin's wardrobe on the campaign trail today and made a pretty incendiary charge. Watch.
Instead of the issues, they are fixated on her wardrobe. Now, with everything going on in the world, seems a bit odd. But let me tell you, this is deliberately sexist.
Scott, do you agree with Elizabeth Hasselbeck that the media is deliberately sexist in how they've been covering Sarah Palin?
I think what's more important is that we look, I mean, just a few moments ago, you showed breaking news of things that are happening in Syria and Iraq. I mean, there are more important issues than the clothes that Sarah Palin is wearing. Most importantly, I mean, you know, Joe Biden himself has says that we're going to be tested. Are we sure that Obama is ready to be president and to be tested on day one? I don't think many Americans believe that to be the case, which is why, if you look at any poll, when it comes to national security issues and terrorism, John McCain leads overwhelmingly with those voters. And these are the reasons that John McCain is going to be the next president of the United States.
Mark?
Well, I think since Scott didn't answer your question, I will answer your question, which is no, it's not sexist to take a look at how Sarah Palin behaves as a candidate. As a candidate, she has consistently struggled with the truth. I think she has consistently struggled with her perception that she presents as opposed to her actions. These clothes purchases are, in fact, fair game. It's as fair game as the other things that the other parties brought up about Barack Obama's past. And let's be clear that this election is not about clothes. It's not about Bill Ayers. It's not about Joe Biden saying something aside. This election is about the politics of the past with Bush and John McCain and the politics of the future of Barack Obama. So it is not sexist, and that's my answer to your question, David.
Now, Mark, what about this issue, though? I mean, suppose, we do have this sort of breaking news of a U.S. attack inside Syria. It appears that this is simply part of the effort in Iraq and that there was something going on just across the border and U.S. forces decided they needed to go in and take it out. But are you nervous at all about some sort of big event, either overseas or having to do with foreign policy, changing the dynamic in the last week?
Well, of course, everybody's nervous that some outside event affects an election for the wrong reasons. And I am never going to be one to say that the Bush administration would do anything around an election to affect it, although some may have made that accusation in the past. I believe the Bush administration is trying to do the right thing. This is a major event, as your news station is covering it. But I don't think the American people are looking at an event like this and saying that's the single reason to vote yes or no for Obama or yes or no for McCain. They're looking at the overall pattern of how this nation has behaved the last 8 years, and they're looking for the next 8 years or the next 4 years, hopefully 8 years under Obama. So to your point, yes, it's important, but is one news event going to change the dynamic? I don't think so.
Scott, you get the last word. 10 seconds.
Well, I think it's important, too, as we look at the economic crisis that's going on in this country. It's not the 8 years of George W. Bush. You know, we can go back. The economic crisis in this country started with the mortgage crisis and the housing market, which was begun
we're not going to go down that road.
in the early 1990s under the Clinton administration.
At the end of the show. But Scott, Republican strategist Scott Migli, thank you very much. Mark Walsh, Democratic strategist, thank you as well. And again, we are following breaking news right now. According to the Associated Press,